Welcome to the GSL Code A evening session. We've got a lot of great players. I'm not even going to mention them yet. We're going to have a splash screen for that later. I got to contain my excitement. Caldor's with me as usual. It's time.
Exactly. This is going to be really good right now. The first game already is a very exciting best of 3 that we have Zerg versus Terran. We have Maru up versus Sniper.
Yeah, Maru versus Sniper should be a really exciting series. We're going to Code S champion up against one of the youngest players to be in Code S ever.
Maru is actually playing a lot of Heart of the Swarm these days, but I think that this match is nonetheless one of my personal highlights. It's going to be really, really good, especially since Sniper is lacking a little bit against Terran. His win ratios in ZVZ and also in Zerg versus Protoss are insane, but against Terran, he's down at like 45%.
Yeah, he is a little bit of a struggling matchup for him right now, but I mean, that's just one of the few players we've got coming up. We have Flash versus Ryung at the end of the night, which I think is the match most people are looking forward to. Terran versus Terran. Flash really wanting to get into Code S, and we'll see if he can do it. It's going to be a tough road tonight.
Yeah. Flash definitely in this third attempt wants to get into Code S, but it's not going to be easy for him. He will do his best though. And we also have Lenog. We have Lenog up versus Byung, so a lot of good matches going on today.
Yeah, Lenog versus Byung going to be really good as well. Let's take a look at the race distribution so far for GSL Code A. The second round, you can see mostly dominated by Terrans, but it's a pretty even distribution overall.
Yeah, we have a lot of Terrans in here with 12, but overall very, very even, as Wolf already pointed out. And we have so many good players here, so many Code S potential players, like Sniper, the winner of the last season. We have Lenog in there, Nesty, of course, for the Terrans. A few of them to point out are Flash, amongst others, like Fantasy. He did very well. Alive also with a very, very convincing round 1 performance. And the Protoss players with Hero, Creator, Yonghwa. These games, they are epic.
Yep, and some of our players have already advanced beyond those boxes. We had Hero, Byun, Hyun, and Yoda. 4 players to advance this morning. All 2-0s and mostly pretty one-sided, non-dimensional matches. They were pretty straightforward.
Yeah, the games were very, very quick. We were out of the studio at 3 o'clock. It was like, wow.
I think the closest series was Byun versus Center, but even that didn't look very... It didn't look very close.
Yeah, Center could not repeat a performance of the last season in Code A. He fell to Byun. And now we have the 4 games for the afternoon session, for the evening session, with Maru versus Sniper, Yonghwa versus Creator. Byung has to deal with Lenog here. And then, of course, the last game of the day is going to be Flash versus Ryung.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of people have been talking about Maru playing really well in Heart of the Swarm. It's kind of ironic. A lot of people were messaging me that, messaging you this as well. And I looked at his profile yesterday on Wings of Liberty because I logged into Wings of Liberty for the first time on my Korean account in a while. So I've been playing a lot of Heart of the Swarm. I looked at his profile. He's on my friends list. And he's been playing a decent amount of Wings of Liberty games as well. So he's practicing both games right now. And that's just what you have to do when you're in this situation. He can't neglect Heart of the Swarm, but at the same time, he still has to prepare for his match against Sniper, who's a great Zerg player.
Exactly. The first round of the GSL Code A is over, so you can't fall down into Code B. The worst that can happen to you now is that you have to play in the up and downs. But of course, you want to go straight to a Code S.
And the up and downs are going to be played on Heart of the Swarm anyways, so even that is something to consider. So even if they lose here, they focus straight into Heart of the Swarm. It's not going to be like, oh, now I got to focus on Wings of Liberty even longer because I'm in the up and downs. It's not like that.
And talking about Maru versus Sniper, we already know which opponent the winner of this best of 3 has to face. In the third round of Code A, Hyun is waiting for his opponent. So we'll either see Zerg versus Zerg, the repetition of Sniper versus Hyun, the finals of the last GSL season, or we will see Maru against another Zerg player.
Yep. Of course, we've got another Protoss versus Protoss with Creator versus Yonghwa. This is going to be a really exciting one, I feel, because Creator is one of those players who dominates PvP, but Yonghwa always has a trick up his sleeve.
I was talking with Atosis about this game today, and our opinion slightly differed. You can probably guess who was in favor of Yonghwa here.
Yeah, Don't, it doesn't take much of a genius to figure that one out, but...
It's a very close match. I mean, I can see both players taking it, but I feel that, as you said, Creator has a little bit of an advantage just because he's such an experienced player. His PvP was, especially at the WCS, really outstanding. And we'll come to this match later. First of all, we have a Terran versus Zerg. No Protoss participation here.
Yeah, look at Sniper's record. He suddenly became a master, rising through the ranks of Code S. 41 wins and 19 losses, putting him in a total of 60 games played. Maru at just 44 and a total of 50% win ratio, exactly 22 and 22.
And we are as good as ready to start our first game, guys. Here we have the two players to the left, Maru Prime, Sniper to the right, the champion. Match number 1 is going to take place on Kiln Flats. The map is already loading. Oh, I'm so excited for this day. Well, these games that we have in front of us are epic.
We are so lucky we get to cast these and watch these right here in the studio. I'm looking at the screen right now.
We joke every season about the Code A just getting better and better and better, and it's really, the Code A is the new Code S. It's insane. The skill level in both leagues is so crazy.
Yep, it certainly is. This is a proving ground, a testing ground for people to get that Code S medallion back on their chest, that status on their profiles on many websites all over the world.
And we are jumping into the first game just a few seconds. The game is live and ready to go. This is the Code A. We have the second round, and this is our first game of the day. Maru versus Sniper here at the GSL. Cullen Wolf. And our Terran player starts at the bottom right of the map in this best of 3 on the first map at Kiln Flats. In red, we have, for the Prime team,
Maru Prime.
Already looking very strong in his earlier round. Round 1 of Code A, making sure that in Heart of the Storm he will at the very least be in the tournament.
Top left, we currently see his opponent, a champion. He is
MVP Sniper.
A lot of naysayers out there saying he was a one-time thing, but he's here to prove them wrong.
We have a lot of players that were able to win a season and then they suddenly disappeared.
Yes.
We have the problem, Seed currently has to go through his second Code B performance. Jakji as well, both of them really, really struggling, both of them not in the GSL right now. So a very tough time. And this is something that Sniper wants to avoid. He already made sure that he is at least in the up and downs, but he wants to go back into Code S right away.
He doesn't want to pull a fruit dealer and disappear forever.
The thing about his performance in Code S so far is actually that the games that he played in the last season were mainly against Terran. He lost both matches. He lost to Bomber and he lost to Gumio. Now he's facing another Terran player, the third in a row. So you can argue that this is a little bit of a bad omen, especially since Bomber and Gumio are not the only Terrans that he lost to recently. He was also not successful against Pold. He lost to Ryang in the last season. So this is all... Oh, actually, sorry, against Ryang he won. He lost another match against Gumio. That was the second game. So a lot of matches in the recent past against Terran where he was not successful. This is his worst matchup, and maybe Maru can capitalize on that.
Yeah. By the way, Maru has done something interesting here with his barracks placement. He's not walling. So this is most likely not going to be a problem for him, but it's just a slight variation. He's put his depot behind his ramp, and he's also put his barracks a little bit closer to the CC, which gives him a little bit of extra time. Not only less travel time for the STV to go back to the minerals, but also it means that he can start his orbital a little bit faster. Just all these little things, and this allows him to get his command center just slightly faster here.
And it's nice to see for Sniper that he was able to spot the command center. He actually moved back to the right to spot it, and then he was still able to get out with the drone. Really important here, so no first blood for Maru.
Yeah, and I mean, Maru is doing this build where he's gone for the CC before the second depot, so he even cuts the second, or the third Marine rather, out of his build. You can see he can't make an SCV or a Marine right now, but as his depot finishes, he will be able to. But it's all worth it in the end to have that faster second command center and get that mining up as soon as possible.
Maru, of course, also with some scouting information here. He knows that there is no gas at this point for Sniper. Sniper is going for the double queen now that his pool is done, and also a few Zerglings, wants to hold those Zelnaga watchtowers. And I'm going to kill on flats. We touched on the topic before, but just to point it out again, if you are watching this map for the first time, the two Zelnaga watchtowers in the middle of the map, they disappear at the 7-minute mark.
Yes. Maru goes for a third command center with some of the extra resources he's been able to get and with his delayed gases after scouting no gas of his opponent. So he's doing this not blindly, but after scouting some lack of gas in the main. Obviously, at this point, Sniper could add gases and still go for the attack, but it's going to be a lot tougher for him to hit a quick timing that Maru would suffer against.
And one of the things about Maru is that how he evolved in this game. Two Zerglings are being taken out here, very good for Maru. Now a little bit less map awareness for Sniper, who's also going to lose the Zelnaga watchtower. But yeah, talking about Maru's play, he was known, I'm sure if you follow his career, you know that he was known to be a guy who always all-in, he was very aggressive. But he kind of made a bit of a name for himself when he defended on Entomb Valley, just so well against Zerg players. So he's a little bit of a defense specialist by now. He's just a very versatile player in general.
He's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve. And doing a build like 3cc here is not even that weird for him anymore these days. 2 gas go down for Sniper. The Marines are looking to clean up the watchtowers, and so far they're successful. Nice maneuvering, though, by Sniper. He doesn't hold the watchtower anymore, but the Lings get away, and the watchtowers are going to disappear in about 45 seconds in-game anyway, so it's not too big of a deal.
I was trying to sneak in here, and talking about the young Prime player, we had him facing Dream in the first round. This was the obstacle that he had to overcome, and he was able to defeat his Terran opponent with a 2-1. Securing himself at least a spot in the up and downs here. Now up against former champion. Not really an easy matchup for him, as he also struggles in this specific matchup if you compare it to his Terran versus Protoss and his TVT. But we'll see who's getting the first win here.
That was really nice control by both players. Sniper trying to set up the trap on those Marines to kill them with the Queens, and the Lings get them stuck. But Maru controls well, kills the Lings, gets away with 3 of his Marines, now sees the 3rd base. He will likely lose all of his Marines, but not without taking out 2 of these Zerglings. And in fact, if he micros well, he could actually get away here.
Yeah, the thing about the play that we see here coming out from Sniper is that he dedicates the first 100 gas that he gets into to use for the lair tech. We have him with a delayed speed for the Zerglings. He knows that there's no double barracks opening or anything where he might get good use of the speed upgrade earlier. But this is something that Maru by now also knows. So for Maru, there's the information, well, you're not going to go for some kind of bailing aggression, you're not going to put too much pressure on me. So very fast tech here for Maru, for Sniper in comparison, but Maru already with +1/+1 on the production tab, additional structures, the 3rd base that you pointed out earlier, Wolf.
Yeah, and with that fast 3rd base, as well as all of these barracks going down, he's going to have a really nice army coming up in just a few minutes. He's getting all the production set up. He's powering up right now, as they say, getting ready to put out a massive amount of units. He could even start sending units across the map as soon as those barracks are finished to clear some creep tumors. Right now, his Hellions are going to do the job for him as best as he can. He doesn't get very many, but he's just trying to control this area a little bit.
Yeah. And for Sniper, we have the choice now with the lair tech finish to go into Baneling, Mutalisks, and Zerglings. So for him now, this is going to be a very, very aggressive mid-game where he is going to dominate the map, and Maru will try to hold. He will try to hold this 3rd base and the natural. What's really strong about his opening is that with the Hellions, up to the point where the Mutalisks out, he has a lot of map presence where he can try to kill creep tumors, but the Queens, of course, are the one problem that he has doing this. He can't really overcome this problem unless he sends out another dropship with Marines trying to take them out, but this is not going to be the case for quite a while since he just finished his start point.
Yeah, he's starting his very first 2 medevacs right now, so, you know, it's a little bit tougher to do that type of push, but I feel that now that his barracks are ready and all 4 of these reactors are finished up here, he's going to be able to produce at one time 9 Marines. He's going to start rallying those across. He could go for an attack where he just keeps rallying wave after wave until Baneling speed is done. He will be able to put a lot of pressure on, but on the other hand, he could just sit back. His 2-2 is being started very early here, and he's just continuing to put pressure on with his Hellions. Oh! That was scary.
Yeah. Maru is still able to make this work though, and for him it's important to get those upgrades out. As a Terran player, if you're able to turtle a little bit on 3 bases, you want to get your 3-3. You want to get this composition in the late game, and then you can push out. And Maru is really keeping up with Sniper here. He has a very good SCV count. 55 with the triple production that he has. He's at a decent economy, especially considering his mules. And now we have those medivacs out. With the medivacs, suddenly he can move on to creep, he can kill those creep tumors, and if the Zerg player runs in, he just loads up and leaves.
Yep, and without Baneling speed, he can actually fight against these units. As long as he kites with his Hellions, he can pick off these Banelings as best as he can. Now the Mutas are here though, and he's not going to be able to stick around much longer. Off creep, he could turn around and fight here a little bit more, I feel, because again, Baneling speed is not done.
Yeah, the Mutalisks are really the issue though. If the Mutalisks get into a good position and snipe the medivacs, then he can run in with the Zerglings, close the distance to the Marines, and then, yeah, Maru would be in trouble. But he has to deal with those Mutalisks first. Right now, he doesn't really have a lot of anti-air. There are no turrets for him. He's just... I think he's probably about to get the first ones, but for him, the issue really is dealing with the initial attack.
Yeah. The Hellions still trying to cause trouble here. They don't want to extend themselves too much with the Mutas able to go and sweep them up at any moment in time, but since he knew the Mutas were there, he tries to go over and pick off a few more units. Sniper is still maintaining control of the map. Maru moved out for a second. The Mutas are there. Now he knows, okay, there's no more pickups for me. Starts 2-2 really early. I mean, this is he's been having this up for a while. He's going to have that really quickly. And if he hits 3-3 on time, his upgrades are going to be devastating.
A few Hellions getting caught in the middle of the map. But you know what I really would love to see for Maru, considering how much Sniper currently invests into those Mutalisks is at least one Thor. Maru goes for a composition with Marine Tank, which is really strong, especially given the Medivac support. But with a big Mutalisk amount, you can always just circle around those units, trying to pick off siege tanks that are not covered by the Marines, and the Thor makes this so much more difficult for the Zerg. So having one Thor or two Thors in your army when you see that your opponent goes for more than 10 Mutalisks is definitely worth it.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I mean, it's a nice little tricky move you can do. 12 Banelings being added here with the Infestation Pit. And with the Infestation Pit here, I feel like Sniper is going to have a lot more dominance than he already has on the map. He can take a 4th base. This is when things get scary with upgrades, but as long as he can control his Infestors well, his creep spread is still decent. Maru has not really been able to deny it very much.
And Sniper realized that he's not going to break through this 3-base defense of Maru. He's going into additional Harvesters. We have him on a really huge amount now with 83. He's getting additional bases, hatches. He's going into Hive. He wants to go for the late game here. And what really helps him is the creep coverage that he has on the map. If Maru decides to move out, he's always in this really dangerous position where a flank or a sandwich of Sniper with those Banelings, with a speed advantage, could take out his entire ground army.
He needs to get his +3 armor started. As is being highlighted by our observer, he has not started that yet. And this is going to become a big problem for him eventually. Right now, he's still ahead in upgrades, but that's very common. The Hive isn't even finished yet. Maru is trying to move carefully on the map, closer and closer to that creep, but he has to spend so much time clearing the creep that the 4th base is already up for Sniper, his Hive is already finished, and I feel like he's just one medium-sized step really ahead of Maru in this game.
Maru does this really well though. He kills a lot of creep tumors and gets out just in time. What we have for Sniper now is he turns away from the Mutalisk composition and Maru is rewarded for not getting those Thors that I mentioned earlier.
Great
the
catch on
Medivac though, that is where the Mutalisks really shine, and here comes the attack by Sniper.
Siege, and he's on creep. This is not good for Maru. He's getting trapped with a lot of his units. The siege tanks are now exposed. The Banelings may just connect. A 6 split though.
A really good split, but there's so many units of the Zerg player. Sniper is trying to sweep away the ground army of Maru, and now suddenly the Marine Prince is in trouble.
Yeah, the Medivac's here in a lot of trouble. He's going to pick another one off. He could get a 3rd. He does.
That was really well executed by Sniper.
And now he's got a 4th base, the Greater Spire on the way, starts to add Infestors. Maru needs to make something work here soon, but he's got to make sure he flies his Medivacs in a better path. Every time he tries to send a Medivac across, he has to turn around because he sees that Sniper sees him. Last time that Medivac got picked up by the Muse, he flew too close to the creep. There's Overlords on every dark spot of the map, so every time Maru tries to drop him, he's got an Overlord there. So how does he move forward here? He can't take a 4th base because there's too much army here. There's also creep blocking his 4th. This is a tough spot for Maru right now.
Well, the thing is, in the last fight, if you only look at the resources, he actually traded evenly. The idea always is to move your Marines back to... This exposes, of course, the siege tanks, but then the Banelings detonate into siege tanks, they get a lot of shots off, and your Marines are still alive to deal with the Mutalisks if they come. Because if the Banelings actually take down the Marines, then suddenly everything is exposed to the air army. So the move of Maru was really good, and his split was also well done. His problem is really getting those upgrades up. He has +3 attack already, going into the armor upgrade, and he's still fine here. 4th base, as you pointed out, Wolf, is difficult for him to take, especially with Sniper's map awareness. He needs to make sure that he is putting on some aggression now, but it's very difficult against a player who is so flexible in this matchup.
Yeah, he really is. And look at how easily Maru is able to just even up the supply. In fact, takes a supply lead with his macro. It's so insane. He's finally getting his +3 armor, finishing up now as well. But Sniper on the other hand is getting his 3-3. This moment is very vulnerable for Maru. He's got a few Marines out here. The command center is lifted. He could try to pick it off with his Muse. I don't think he'll kill it, but this is a great way for Sniper to take an engagement, and he does just that.
A little bit tricky for for Maru, is that he currently does not know about the Broodlord transition, and he doesn't have a second starport, so only one starport. He doesn't need Medivacs anymore. He has 12 already. That's a really good amount.
Such a positional game here right now. Both players trying to bait each other into the siege tanks or vice versa, the Banelings.
A 6 stim, by the way. Just get away from those Banelings. It was really close.
And he will finally be able to land his command center now. He's clear of the creep with some really good scans. Maru is fighting hard in this game. He's about to have +2 for his siege tanks as well. He's adding Marauders, but like you said, the big problem is the composition. Those Broodlords are going to be an issue for him for sure. He doesn't have the extra starports. He doesn't have a heavy Viking.
There's the scan. Nice, good scan. Sees the Broodlords. Now he has to start with the Viking production. And he has the resources to do it.
But he's
doesn't
maxed.
do it though.
He's maxed out.
He's maxed, you're right.
He can't make any more units out of his first starport, and now he's going to have to add some additional ones.
Nice, picking off a few of the Mutalisks here. Nice targeting.
Really well done. He's also going to try to, well, he can't get those Lords.
He could cancel those Marauders that he's currently building and go into the Viking production.
Yeah, I actually
I
thought that might be why he ran some of those units forward like that. Maybe get a tumor and then just start Vikings, but
he seems really convinced that he can take this with the Marines alone.
he doesn't have that many Infestors he's up against, but still, I worry for him trying to fight this army without Vikings. He's got a lot of medevacs. So much of his army supply is made up of these 11 medevacs. The army's not as strong as it looks if you look at the numbers.
Is getting an Ultralisk, Kevin. We have a lot of Marauders, though, in the composition for Maru, so Ultralisks are gonna have a tough time here. I really like that Sniper is preparing for the late game, but if he just transitions blindly...
Exactly. If he has the Ultralisk Cavern and gets the upgrades but doesn't make any Ultralisk until he sees it's appropriate, that would make me really happy.
Yeah. And here we go once again.
Maru,
The Marines are running in, and suddenly those Broodlords are exposed, and he might be able to get in there.
A lot of Marauders to shield the Marines, and there's some siege tank fire as well, but the reality here is there's just not enough Marines, not enough anti-air. The Marauders help out, sure, but when there's this many Marauders, there's not enough Marines to actually get underneath there. He tries, but he doesn't have enough.
And he goes in again with another stim, and suddenly those Broodlords are in a really awkward spot. Two of them already dead, the third one dying, and the Zerglings, they're not running in.
Yeah, now they go in. I was a little bit surprised. You know, Maru may still be able to break through here. He's got so many medevacs.
Exactly, the medevacs really changing the tide of the battle here. They keep those Marines alive and the Marauders. The siege tank is always good for the backup.
There's the 7 Ultralists on the way. Now the starports are being added, but you know, the Marauder count is finally lowered here a little bit, and I feel like Maru is switching too heavily to deal with the Broodlords. This is exactly what Sniper is hoping for with this Ultras transition. Yeah, it's a little bit blind, but in this case it works out.
He does not neglect his Marauder production, on the other hand. He is still producing them, and this is really good for Maru. Also, the double starport will help him later if he needs to switch again. So this game is actually getting really, really exciting. The gas is the problem for Sniper. He needs to get more gas income. Maru, on the other hand, he's so heavily relying on the minerals. Yep. This is going to be so good. This is going to be, I love this game already.
It's getting good, man. He's got another command center going down near his 4th base. Burrow is on the way. The Ultralisk count is going up to 8 now. He still has 4 Broodlords in his army. Viking count at this moment in time is still 0. He has not a single Viking on the map. So he's making the right unit composition, but there are still some Broodlords to deal with, and they're going to work on these siege tanks.
And here we go again. The Ultralisks are moving in.
Wow, this could be sick.
A lot of shots getting off here at the Ultralisk. Here come the rest of the Marines and the Marauders trying to pick them off one by one.
Even the Corruptors helping out.
On the move, but suddenly we have Sniper. Is he able to crush through here? He's taking his supply lead.
You know, there's not enough on the ground. There's a lot of medevacs in the air, but they're being taken out now by the Corruptors. Sniper remaxing with 3 more Ultras. More Zerglings coming in. Good kiting here by Maru, but I think this force may eventually be overwhelmed.
Well, we suddenly have a choke point position, and this works to Maru's advantage, and he now has the Marauder count that he needs. Also another siege tank in siege mode doing a lot of extra damage against those
many medevacs being taken out.
They're gone.
The Ultras are gone. He still has some Broodlords here. The Marine count fairly low at 14. He's got 4 Broodlords to deal with. And the Broodlords actually escape here, but Maru continues with his income. He needs to remax, so this is something that Sniper has already done. He's adding 5 more Ultras.
But he's on 4 bases now. He has a good economy. The Ultralists for Sniper are definitely going to give him a tough time, but there are so many Marauders now already in the composition. He has a lot of damage potential here. We have now the 4th base, as I already said. So there he can drop all those mules. He will be able to get the mineral income that he needs to keep producing units.
Yeah. This is actually quite close still. The +3 for Siege Tank finishes up. He gets concussive shells now as well. Help out his Marauders. A pretty useful upgrade that you don't always see in this matchup. Maru runs forward, wants to pick out some of these units at the back like the Broodlords and Corruptors, but here come the Banelings to slow him down. Great control by Sniper, not only zoning out that army, but will get the planetary here as well.
There's another command center though that he can use if he's able to save it, because those Corruptors are still doing damage.
And here comes Sniper. He may have too much. I think this could be the end of Maru. His units are just declining so much. You know, if he can hold on to that base, he might have been able to remax, but Sniper is not giving him enough time.
The bundles are good on the Medivacs, and here come the Ultralists again.
Another great bundle.
All those Corruptors are going to town. They kill one after another Medivac, and they keep Maru alive. If they are gone, then suddenly there's no support anymore.
Exactly. The Broodlords at the back. Those 4 Broodlords he had.
GG.
You know, those 4 Broodlords throughout the entire late game were just adding that extra DPS and always messing with Maru because he didn't have a single Viking. And the Corruptors, of course, were cleaning up those Medivacs. So really good composition from Sniper overall, switching into Ultralists in a time that was risky, but it paid off for him.
He made sure that he just decreased the amount of Marauders. He went from like 16 Marauders down to 2. That was the time when he started to switch, and this really helped him. The Ultralisk switch was at a decent time here for him, but Maru was really struggling there in the end. Him getting the 4th base was already a big accomplishment, but Sniper was just a little bit ahead of him.
Yeah. Maru and Sniper both looking very focused still though in the lobby, not affected by that game at all. We're going into Cloud Kingdom, a little bit more of a familiar map. The map that's been in the map pool for so long, not only in the GSL but on ladder as well.
I was really impressed how Maru was able to deal with the Broodlords even though he didn't have Vikings. He just relied on Marines. And it was actually, if you think about one of the problems that you have against a Zerg player on a strong economy is that if you go Vikings against the Broodlords, you will do damage, but then suddenly you have the Vikings in the air and the Zerg is going to transition with the bank that he has into the Ultralisks. So this transition was not as devastating for Maru as it could have been.
Yeah.
He still lost the game and he lost those engagements, but he put up a very good fight.
Yeah, you know, the Ultras were always fighting against a very much smaller army, and that's how things work out. You mentioned the choke points, and Ultras get stuck in chokes, they're not useful, but when you have as many as he did with Fungals helping out, they're able to do the damage they need to do.
Yeah.
We are going into set 2 on Cloud Kingdom, Maru versus Sniper. Can Sniper close things out, or will Maru bring it to a 1-1 score? Let's find out right now. GSL Code 8.